Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the 2021 candidate form. We will be asking the candidates questions. When we ask the question, they will have 1 minute to respond. If you would like to dial into the live question line, you can call 425-230-5377. We'll start with the right side and move over to the left. When they ask their question, they'll be given 1 minute with a timer. And then once the timer goes off, the next candidate will have the opportunity to answer the question. We will rotate. So, for example, when Scott answers and goes through the entire row, Terrell will be the next person to start with the next question. If we get done early, we'll ask them to describe themselves briefly to give you extra details. So we'll go ahead and introduce the candidates. We have Scott Murphy on the far right. Every candidate has a name tag: Terrell Riley, Judy Johnson, Nancy Phillips, Stacy Caldery, Tom Hembry, Randy Berry. Our first question is from Sandra Whitney. The question is, your work resumes are all great, but what leadership skill and experience with communications can you bring to the board of directors? And Scott, you can start.
In the past, I spent 9 years in the Navy, and the majority of that time I had anywhere from 10 to 20 people working under me, and so I was, I had to assign work and stuff like that, and keep things going, as the Navy terms, is on an even keel. But also I was the building and plumbing inspector, and I had to work with people out in the field, and a lot of that work was telling people that they couldn't do something and then trying to explain to them how to do it right and stuff. So you had, a lot of people skills involved.
Okay. And Terrell?
Oh, I've worked since I was 16. My first 15 years were at Lockheed Aerospace in California, where I managed a government proposal team with approximately 20 people on the team. My last long work was with GTE/Verizon. We changed our name several times. I have 22 years with them as a advertising and communication specialist. Obviously, advertising communication, so I was primarily responsible for multi-million-dollar advertisers and handling their accounts. Spent 3 years here as the park manager, and this is my third term as a board member.
Okay. Judy?
Yes, I'm Judy Johnson, and I worked I worked in various places. I started out in an orchid company as the associate sales manager, and for a while I ran my own farm and hired and fired and generally, did the whole thing. I also had a real estate license, and my major career was with World Health Organization in Geneva, Switzerland, and although my title was secretary, they ended up using me without paying me or giving me the title for a conference events manager and for a copy editor. And that was kind of why I took early retirement. And since I came back here, I had, half pension, and then I've been supplementing that with contracts, mostly as a systems analyst for Boeing and Panasonic and various other aerospace companies, most recently for Sanford.
I'm Nancy Phillips. I worked as a social services director at Salvation Army, where I was a volunteer coordinator for 500 consistent and continued volunteers who ran the food bank and social programs in Anacortes, worked with 26 agencies in Skagit County with all of the food programs, had to work with numerous people, get up and speak in public. I'm not always comfortable with that, but if you've heard me talk very much, you know I talk easy. So as far as dealing with people, that's one of my skill sets, probably to the point of being too soft. However, I was involved in a $4 million contract for 8 years where I worked with 5 counties, 16 agencies, $4.5 million contract, which I increased every year and had numerous people working under me from every kind of nonprofit agency you can think of that deals with emergency services. I've worked, okay.
Stacy?
Okay, I'm Stacy Coldry, and I've always ended up a supervisor, so I'm not good at this. Anyway, I dealt with Boeing. I worked for Northwest Composites, dealt with a lot of other aerospace companies. And then, I worked 9 years in the park, had employees. And so I've had experience with people. I'm real short, that's all.
Tom Hembry. As a Boeing employee, I started almost 45 years ago. Spent 42 years there. Within the first 2 years, I took a lead position in a machine shop where I had as many as 30 to 50 people under me, helping them set up and guiding them on how to do their job. I went into management after that, and then for the last 20 years as a Boeing employee, I was a leader in lean manufacturing and autonomous maintenance, which leading workshops sometimes over 100, 150 people at a time. Minimum was usually about 25 to 30 people at a time. So I've always, I would say, in over 40 years of leadership skills in some form or another in leading either through.
Hi, I'm Randy Berry. I just recently retired from the roofing trades. I was a foreman slash superintendent slash project manager. It was my responsibility on large projects to small. I mean, roofing $5 million projects. The roof alone was $5 million. And on down, I've had crews that run from 8 to 25. I was responsible for all of the quality, the production, and I was also responsible to meet with other trades, school boards, representatives, whatnot like that, to be able to coordinate work and also to interface.
Okay, thank you. The next question is from Debbie Marshall. And the question is, how would you suggest the handling of communication of the park's financials if you become a board member? And we will start this time with Terrell.
Well, personally, I think the parks budget is the #1 thing a board member should be concerned about. Our job is to protect our members' money. So making this an understandable document and having it posted at least quarterly, I think is important, and those that want to digest the information can have access to it. I think we've kind of haven't done a great job with that over the last few years, so I think it's important for us to get back on track, and as well as the annual audit is also presented to the membership for them to understand.
Okay. Judy?
I think the auditor's report does a very good thing. Through the years, I've kept at them until they tweaked it a little bit more to show some of the things I wanted them to show. For instance, the individual projects like the cafe and this and that, how much went into it and how much came out of it and everything. And they do that now, and I'm very pleased with that. In the early years when I was on the board before, we had trouble getting the people in the office to give the treasurer on the board very much information. And that has not been the case now for a long time, and that's pretty good. And basically, if you have a question, you can ask, and it seems to work out pretty well. I guess that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Nancy?
Aye. Well, our budget is the most important thing on our plate. We must be able to account for all the money spent, why we're spending it, why we didn't spend it in a timely manner, and what we are doing to catch up now. Period. That's all I have to say.
Stacy?
Yeah, they used to print out at the meetings where all the money went. I haven't been to a meeting in a while, you know, and you could pick it up if you wanted to see what was going on with the monies. Yeah, it's more accessible. Okay, that's all I got. Go ahead, Tom.
Tom Hembry. Yes, the budget is very important. And there's actually two sides of this budget that should be reviewed more often than what we've already seen in the past. One, I believe, yes, quarterly, we should be having it out. But the other thing, as a manager in the maintenance department, I relied on that budget to be printed out for me so I could see how much I had to spend during that quarter, and how much was going from the previous quarter, and how much I was ahead of the game, or how much I'm saving the Port Susan. That's a very important piece for any manager to be abiding by his own budget, and to understand that he needs to stay within those budgets. And the other item that we need to do a little bit.
Yeah, we're recording too.
Okay.
Randy?
Yes, I haven't really been involved with the board before. This would be my first time even running. I don't really know what they do behind closed doors, but I do know that being fiscally responsible is a big deal. Your income and your financial needs for the park need to somehow balance. That's all I know, and I'm just not saying that it hasn't. I'm just saying that that's something that needs to be in order to have a financially strong entity.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to refresh the screen to see if we...
Scott.
Oh, Scott, sorry. Keep me on track.
So one thing that we need to do is to make our the website more user-friendly so that people can find the information, and also to get the information posted on the website in a timely manner. You know, especially this time, you know, the COVID situation where we can't have the meetings, where people used to be able to get up, they had that paper in front of them, they could get up and ask the questions. We don't have that right now, and that's something that needs to be worked on because it's not there. And for each project to have the pluses and minuses and line items of, you know, what their budget is, how much they're spending, and so we can be fiscally responsible, or financially responsible, yeah, that'd be the word.
Thank you, and sorry for missing you.
That's one.
Okay, so I refreshed here, and we have a question from Steve Livings. The question is, many members that I know think of this place as an incredible recreational oasis in a chaotic world. What will you do to maintain and facilitate an atmosphere of cooperation with the board members, managers, staff in the effort to protect the kumbaya?
Start with me?
Yes. Go ahead, Judy.
Well, actually, it's gotten so much better lately that I'm, more inclined to sing the praises than to criticize. And because there were some very dark times in the first half of the first decade of the 21st century. And so I'm fairly happy with that. I do think that we should encourage more and more updating the website to have just, every darn thing you can think of on there. And of course, it will be much better when we can have town halls and board meetings open again. And hopefully that'll just be a few months yet before we can do that again. Basically, I'm of the thing that when people do wrong, first you warn them a couple times, then you you issue an infraction, and you allow them to appeal and everything like that. In other words, do it nicely, and be just as courteous as you possibly can, and try not to, there we go.
Nancy?
Hi. Anybody who knows me knows how much I value kindness and how much I value happiness and people getting along. I don't do well with confrontation. I don't like to see people hurt. And I think that the best way to approach this is to continue on in what we're doing, to be as open as possible with every member in here, to be as honest as possible with every dealing that we have, and to move forward strength in unity together to make this park everything that it is supposed to be. There was a dream a while back. You know how dreams have a way of bursting and changing? We have a great opportunity to have another 30 grand years in here, and I just really hope that we can all work together.
Stacy?
I'd like to see when we can have, they'd have a meeting once a month for new members, go over the rules and orientation. Thank you, Nancy. I'm so nervous. Anyway, that really helped, I thought, because there's so many rules and blah, blah, blah. I think that would help, having those meetings again when we can.
Yeah, it would.
Tom?
Yeah, having meetings, the orientation was a really good to let the new people know what their opportunities are, because they buy a place in here. They give them a half-hour tour through here, try to show you as much as you can, but you don't get to, you're too busy thinking about that lot you're buying to think about all the rest of the things that they're telling you with opportunities. So orientation would be very good. And our communication is getting better, and I do see that getting a lot better. Is there room for more? Yes, absolutely. But I think by taking our website and updating it with more information that retains to things that have happened in the last 30 days would be an excellent start.
I agree with everybody. I like working with others, and about the only thing I can think of to add to what's already been said is maybe a little member involvement in decision making. We've got some wonderful people in this park, some real professionals and real high-end jobs. I mean, real responsible jobs that are, I would consider experts. And a little bit of outreach for idea with the members, it would be kind of nice. And I like working with other people, and I like new ideas. I like hearing them.
Scott?
Well, one thing is, when people buy into the park, like, has been said, they get the packet that has all this information, and the orientation, meeting, if they were to be able to come to that where things could get explained in more detail, and you don't want to dwell on this long list of infractions that could be assessed. You want to show them that yes, it's there, but this is a place to have fun, and especially to bring the kids out, and to have more activities for the kids. And with the COVID, we were just everything ground to a halt, and we spent so much time not knowing what we could or could not do. And things are starting to open up, and my hope is that we can open things up.
Carol?
I kind of agree with Scott, with the COVID shutdowns, it's made it very difficult for everybody in the park. We can't have our gatherings and our events that are basic unifiers, like Easter and Port Susan Days and all those great events that are really surround families. And we've done a great job with communication. We can always continue to improve. I think it's important for us as a board to fully understand the park's demographic, so we address people equally and give them an equal voice. Find creative ways to engage our weekend users and campers and young families so that they feel that they're included, and this isn't just a place where full-time people or older people live, that it's a park for everybody.
Okay. So the next phase is, I'm going to just refresh one more time, make sure we didn't get any last minute intakes. We have no calls into the election line. And we have no additional questions. So the next one will be to describe yourself and to let the audience know they have been responding to various questions for membership. You can visit Facebook and go to the Facebook group named 2021 PSCC Board of Directors Candidate. We'll also include a link in the YouTube video description. We will also be posting this video on our YouTube channel. And for the next one, we'll go ahead and have the candidates describe themselves. Also, if you want to see the bios, you can go to l.mycampclub.com/vote21. That will also be included in your voter pamphlets and the various ways you'll be able to vote during this upcoming election here starting tomorrow. So let's start out with Nancy. Just a minute, just describe anything that you haven't included in your bio or just want to emphasize on.
Well, I didn't include this in my bio, and maybe people don't know this about me, but first of all, I'm on the board of directors because I love this park and I think that I have a lot of things to offer. Who I am, the most important job in my life, and I failed at it miserably, but I loved it and I did it, was to be a wife and mother. That is now and will always be the most important role in my life. Anything above that is a gift that I've gotten to participate in. I've been an artist for 36 years. I love working with people. I love sharing joy. And I want to be on your board of directors to help. That's all.
Okay. Stacy?
Okay, I think is it what we have to offer. I'm so this is terrible. Anyway, obviously I'm not a big speaker, but I have lots to bring as far as knowledge of how a lot of it works. I was down in the maintenance yard for years. I'm with Nancy. She almost made me cry.
Oh.
Yeah. See, and then I get all discombobulated. I'm like, wow. Good one. I too love the park, and I want it, the park's best interest. And I don't know. I just love it, and I feel I have knowledge to bring. Okay, I'm done. Oh,
Tom?
Uh,
oh.
I believe I prioritize my life in the three most important things: God, my family, and the community. I try to serve all three. I've always volunteered in some form or another. I've been volunteering in Boy Scouts, on other boards. I was on a board of trustees for a bank that held over $30 million in real estate paper. And it's just been a way of my life. I give back to my community, and that's why I'm here today, is to give back to my community. I want to make it a good place to live for all of us. And if I can help in any way, that's why I'm here.
Randy?
Well, I've got a long background in construction. I've framed houses and did roofs mostly. But, so I have that background. Also, I just enjoy beating ideas back and forth and just, just sharing ideas and thoughts and integrating those and kind of I like to come up with solutions for issues and problems. Kind of a my brain works as a problem-solving brain. And sometimes I have fits with that my own self because I'm always arguing with myself. But anyway, yeah, I like sharing ideas and I like coming up with good solutions for issues that affect us all. And so I just want to be a part of the team.
Okay, Scott?
Yeah, I think everybody that knows me, they know that I love people, and I always want to be part of the solution rather than the problem. And in the past, I've been called on to go out and diffuse difficult situations regarding when I was a building inspector. If there was one inspector had an issue, my boss would send me out. Says, Scott, go out, find out what's going on. And so I have always taken pride in the fact that I've been able to do that and work well with people, and I'm willing to help anybody in the park with my knowledge. I may not physically be able to do the work for them, but I can show them how to get it done or point them in the right direction. And on the board, I've been able to do that also. So.
Carol?
My husband and I have been longtime members. We purchased in 2002, kind of as typical first-time Port Susaners. Our kids were young, we were RVers. We loved the idea of having a place to go where we could just drive up on Friday and be here and go home on Sunday, and we loved it here. Our kids loved it here. We spent years here and ultimately bought 2 other places that we decided we were going to use them for retirement, but we decided to move up here and rent out our home in town. And the more involved I got in the park, the more I was curious about how it ran and the governances, and that's why I pursued being a board member. And I've just enjoyed learning so much about the park. Its organic documents, working with the tribe, and I just enjoy being part of the machine.
Judy?
So I purchased my first site here, membership, in 1999. And I've been here as a full-time member ever since. I've got two sites now. And a couple things I didn't have time to do on the bio is that I recently then I guess I finished in 19 getting an associate's degree in web design and Adobe certificate. And so I have notions about web design. And and that when I was working at the World Health Organization, some of the conventions that I managed were quite large, and they would give me help, and so I was a team leader there. And it all went very well, and I got, you know, a good deal of kudos from it, and I was very pleased at how well that was. Nobody was mad at me. And so other than that, I do appreciate how secure it is here with the gates keeping people so you don't have drive-through. I feel secure.
Cool. Is that everybody?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and refresh the screen here, see if we got any additional. Nope. No questions. No more video calls. Thank you very much, candidates, for taking the time today to respond. We got done pretty good time, and this would conclude our broadcast for the candidates forum. And are you guys still doing the Facebook group? Till 8 o'clock tonight. Okay. Facebook group will be open till 8 o'clock tonight, and is that the last day, or is it going to be open?
Yes, because the ballots go out tomorrow.
Okay, so the last day will be the 5th, and then the electronic ballots will be going out tomorrow on the 6th, and if you don't do electronic ballots, you'll receive them via mail. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and thanks again for tuning in.
Well, that was simple.